welcome to today's vlog and to this week's talkie. Just getting my shooting script ready. And it's not that long. See? One long swipe. Okay, so hope this finds you well. I'm going to begin with 2 Saturdays ago and YouTube. It's bad, isn't it, when I look away, but I don't have an auto cue, I'm afraid, so I could pop it here, then that way, then it's gonna, oh, I knew it. See, the screensaver's kicked in. If I press that, it's locked and I have to unlock it, so I have to keep it in my hand, I'm afraid. Well, I digress. Right, 2 Saturdays ago, not the one just gone, but I was watching YouTube and it keeps on suggesting these render fixes in DaVinci Resolve. And I'm thinking, all these videos with solutions, there must be, you know, a solution amongst them all. Screen, why is the screen? Oh. I thought it locked, but it didn't, just went out. Yes. So, with all these DaVinci Resolve render fix videos coming at me all from left, right, and centre, I figured it was time to give it another go. So, and I think what tipped it over the edge was there was another release. It was it's 14.2.1, and the 0.1 I think denotes an alpha release, whereas 0.2 is a beta, and of course 14 is the stable. So with that in mind, with that in mind, that's a cliche now amongst. Oh, it's on the outside. Amongst creators and folk like me. So, somebody coughing. So yeah, with this release, I thought, okay, maybe it fixes things that affect me. And also, when I came to, you see, the DaVinci is perfect, not 100% perfect. In terms of editing, it's perfect because I can proxy it, and I've been using an Avid codec. I think Avid is another video editor, if I remember rightly. Whereas ProRes, well, it's just a codec. For some, I don't know. ProRes is an Apple codec. Avid is a Avid codec, or actually, it's not known by the word Avid. It's known by DNXHR, or Delta November X-Ray Hotel Romeo. And it belongs to, I think, the Avid. I don't know what Avid is. Is it a video editor or a chip? Anyway, I should be able to press the screen, not the side button, every time it goes black. So I thought, no, I'm not going to use Avid. I'm going to use Intel or Samsung. And the two in common is, well, forget Intel. Anyway, to cut this blabber down, screen share. I've got to keep it in this end, I think, because the button's on the right. Right, so instead of using Avid's codec like DNxHRLB, which is what I've been using, I thought, oh, I'll use H.264 because I shoot all the videos in H.264. And it was a pleasant surprise because because the playback in the proxy at H.264 is just so smooth, it's brilliant. I can't use Fusion for special effects. I can't use color also because it will slow the system down. But if I keep to the edit page, then the edit is brilliant. And that was the highlight of 2 Saturdays ago. 2 Sundays ago, I started using DaVinci Resolve 14.2.1. To edit, obviously, and it took longer to edit because I had to I was working on the last talkie, and I was syncing the Motorola's audio to the Samsung's video, again breaking the fourth wall as I do, and blah blah blah, and after all that I managed to edit it, and then the render began in the early hours, and that was the highlight of Sunday. I mean, it's sometimes I don't write these things down, and I do miss. I probably watch films and stuff like that, and I don't make a note of it. I'm relying to memory when I come to update the notes. So last Monday, today's Monday, but this is last Monday. Typically, DaVinci Resolve crashed, or it stopped at a speed up segment. I think I know which part that was as well, or do I? Doesn't matter. So I changed the update during render from off to on, but no luck. I rebooted the laptop, left the update during render on. It passed the speed up, sorry for the spittle, it passed the speed up segment. Copyright, but stopped. Yeah, passed the speed up segment, so thumbs up, but it stopped at a drop warp transition. I was going to elaborate on that, but I'm not. I watched one video that promised to fix all render issues in DaVinci Resolve, and it was by turning the clips into one compound clip, capital C, capital C. It's a feature of DaVinci Resolve, and I tried it, but it took forever because you have to render it. You have to turn on the color grade render cache, and then it has to go along the whole video. It goes red, which takes a while, and the blue then says it's done, you can go ahead, and I never saw the blue. It took forever. And I tried all variations without the color grade, with the render cache set to smart and user and off, but to no avail. So it was time to call in Kdenlive. Even if I had to do all the synchronization all over again, but I did it. Edited it, watched it back, and began the render, all in the latest nightly build of Kdenlive. After all that, I chilled, and I had a pleasant shock to see that series 14 of Discovering Insert Film Star Name Here had started on Sky Arts on Thursday, and I watched the first episode there and then on Catch Up, and the subject was Tom Cruise. And because it was 2 weeks ago, this was actually 3 weeks ago when it came out. So 2 weeks ago, not last week but the week before, it was the turn of Kevin Costner. Next day, Tuesday, I'm about to sneeze, I think something flew up my nose. Kdenlive's render finished 9 hours later. What a difference to 15 plus hours that it was giving me in DaVinci E. I watched the Laurel and Hardy feature, a late 30s one. Therefore it's good. If it's a feature and it's in the 30s, then it's in their heyday and it's good. I watched a silent one and a talkie one, and the talkie one was one of my favourites. Notably, it had Oliver Hardy, Ollie, flying down the stairs in a mansion and away from a ghost. But what it was a lampshade with a sheet over it. The bad special effects of him going down the stairs made it funnier and just added to the charm. And it reminded me of another Laurel and Hardy shot that I saw recently, and funny enough, they both had murderers or mention of murderers in it, and they both had similar endings, funny enough. And this other one also had a very funny scene, and I love this scene. Where Stan and Ollie, they answer a Lonely Hearts ad, and Ollie, he doesn't post he doesn't post Stan's letter, he hides it. But it's when he puts it away, looks around, he looks at the camera, he looks at us, and then he sort of bashfully smiles, guiltily. And that, when he does that, it's such good timing that it cracks me up every time. Then it was time to go out and film the next video. Came back, copied the files, updated Kdenlive to the next nightly build, kicked off the proxies, and whilst that was doing it, whilst I was waiting for the proxies, I watched a blinding episode of Minder on ITV4. It was so good the first time around that I recorded it on a VHS tape back in the 80s. And it's the one that starred Art Malik, and it had Robbie Coltrane in a brief role. But it was well written. I think the writer, it must have been the creator, Leon Griffiths. I think he wrote the episode, and it was just hilarious. I didn't know you could have syrup of figs and Irish jig for the same thing. There was a character called Syrup, and he wore an Irish jig. I had an hour nap, and afterwards, well, I thought before I edit, let's get freshened up, so I had an hour nap. I had an hour nap. I edited, watched the playback, kicked off the export. No problem. When you think about it, the problems out of DaVinci Resolve with Kdenlive, it's just so swift. Watched more Laurel and Hardys, including their famous Sons of the Desert. I watched, these are all recordings by the way. Ronin, starring Robert De Niro and John Reno. I couldn't remember Michael Lonsdale's name. I know he played Drax in Newark, and I thought his name's Michel. He's French. He's Michel somebody. It was Michael Lonsdale. I think he passed away last year. He was an underrated Bond villain, if you ask me, because he did have a good... He acted it really well, especially one scene when he talks about Bond being an unkept season. And of course, to that Bond says, "I didn't know there was seasons in space. Only winter for you, Mr. Bond." Anyway, that scene is really good in there, because he does laugh, because he says you have this inevitability of an unkept season. He sort of laughs as he says it, and it just gives it such impact. Also, Fire Down Below. Now, I recorded this ages ago. I keep seeing it every time I scroll through my recordings, and I finally got to watch it. Fire Down Below is a film that stars Rita Hayworth, Robert Mitchum and Jack Lemmon in a kind of comedy, romance, drama. It was really good. And it had, in a supporting role, not a cameo or a brief role, in a supporting role, one Herbert Lom. So that's the reason why I watched it. Although I do like Robert Mitchum's films. And are we up to last Friday? Oh, we still got lots to go. No, Friday just gone. Been what it was. I had this idea to film it in two parts, night and day and night. But I left the day bit a bit late, that it almost turned into night. I did the first 2 acts in the day, what I call the daytime, went shopping, had a ready meal, listened as the fireworks started, and then off I went to do Act 3 in the night. So, Act 3, it was to begin looking down on the city with fireworks going off in various parts. It was up on the summit somewhere, looking down across the whole of Eastbourne in little miniature. And I expected to see fireworks going off here, there, all over the place, you know. And would you believe it? That was a fail as well. And as I was navigating between scenes, I was confronted with a magnificent display of fireworks, and from nowhere. And as I hit record, it had stopped. There were no more. So Act 3 was a disappointment, a major fail, and I don't think I'll be going to such lengths next year. I also turned on the heating for the first time since winter. Saturday just gone. DaVinci Resolve. I had another go. As another idea popped up, and this was to change the render speed from 75 down to 10. But that was a fail. I then turned the render speed down to 1, and it was going to take 15 hours. I think I've just said 15 hours earlier about something else. Or did I not? If I did mention 15 hours, I had this in mind. Yeah, it was going to take 15 hours. But I didn't wait to see if it was going to go up more and more. I think it was a 24-minute video. It was going to take 15 hours. I think I was going to match it 1 minute per hour. And I thought, no. I got a bit agitated and I abandoned this. I abandoned this for a game of soldiers. So, I did think about rendering the transitions and the drop warp and cross dissolves into separate MP4 files. You create a you just isolate those bits on the timeline and you just export those bits. So they're only 3 seconds long. So maybe in 30 minutes, that 3-second transition would be a separate clip, and that way it'd be like a normal clip to DaVinci. That was the thought, but as I said, it seemed like a lot of trouble for a laptop as powerless as mine. Therefore, it was back to the latest nightly build of Kdenlive, and a render that took under 8 hours. I said 15 plus earlier. This took 8 hours. No fuss, nothing. Just took less than I thought, actually. I thought it was going to be half the time, 12 hours. And I was prepared to wait 12 hours, I guess. But it took 8, so. It's using the CPU, not the GPU. Even though I ticked the boxes in the render settings as if it was using GPU. I'm not sure why it doesn't use GPU after all these years. I know it's a Linux editor that happens to run on Windows, and now it runs on Mac OS. But I don't know why it can't. I'm thinking it could be a proprietary reason. Sometimes Linux are not allowed to use third-party proprietary hardware. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? As if I know what I'm talking about. For once, I could see firework displays from my window instead of just hearing them. Last year I was darting from room to room trying to see where these fireworks were, but I could never see them. I could hear them as loud as if they were right outside, but I couldn't see them. But this time I could. In fact, I saw 2 displays at either end. I also moved my laptop, desk, external monitor and other peripherals closer to the heater. I had that in mind, actually. I thought in the summer, I can't sit here in the winter. When the winter comes, or the cold, I will move everything towards the heater, and yeah, for a few days now it's been okay. It's done the trick. Which brings us to yesterday and 3 final bullet points. Wait a minute, I've jumped the gun there. Oh, I jumped the bullet point, in fact. Sorry. Under 8 hours, between 8 hours and fireworks, there was a bullet point. This is something I did during the waiting periods, the copying or the proxying or the exporting or even uploading. Deep breath. I kept watching YouTube videos on the Mikado's The List. Had one with Eric Idle, which was good, but various variations on The List by other artists, and Pirates of the Penzance's Modern Mage in General. Again, a lot of various artists doing it, including Alexander Armstrong, who did it for Comic Relief. Was it for Comic Relief or for Children in Need? I can hear horses. Maybe you can see it in the background, I don't know. Oh, can you see the horse in the background? Yeah, I think I caught it on video. Anyway, so yeah, Mikado's The List. What they've done with the Mikado is probably 19th century It's a 19th century musical. But with the list of offenders who should go on this list, who won't be missed, they modernised it so to events in the day, like having a pop at Prime Minister David Cameron and his shenanigans with a farmyard animal, a barrel encounter. So Pagan List does sort of rhyme in a way. It's on YouTube, you'll find it. So yeah, each artist does an update of the list to the present day, which is really good, including, you know, phones and stuff like that. Even the COVID, that went on a list. That won't be missed. As for the modern Major General, that doesn't need any changing. It's just the same by various artists, as I said. But it's rapid fire singing, and it's just impressive. It's like a tongue twister as well. Modern Major, see, I can't even have to say it. Modern Major General. I'm a model of a modern Major General. See, I can't even say it. And this, they say it really rapid. I mean, practice makes perfect, but oh yeah, yesterday and the final 3 bullet points. And so yeah, I carried on with I forgot to mention that I was listening to the Mikados, the list, and Modern Major General to a point of obsession. I got so hooked into it, I couldn't stop playing it. And YouTube doesn't help, because as soon as you open up YouTube, it suggests more of these lists and majors, generals, yeah. So yesterday I was watching more of that, and I was trying to hop in, and I settled on 5 USA to watch a 1995 episode or TV film of Columbo, and it had George Wendt from Cheers fame as the baddie, and he was really good. He was a very good actor, very good. I was impressed. I can see why. You see a lot of him, you know. For a big chap, he does star in films with Robert De Niro, and I think he's in Toy Story, that does one of the voices. And of course he was good on Cheers, and his performance is just, I'm thinking like a clown. You know how a clown could be an artist, like a clown, like not Coco Chanel. Who's that mime guy? Black and white stripes, white face, lopsided hat. Why don't I know these things? Marceau, that's it. And that time my screensaver kicked in with the lock. And it also starred Rod Steiger as a mafia don. Now he's a method actor. I like him. Him and De Niro, I don't think him and De Niro made a film. Him and Brando made a film, famously in the back of a taxi cab, with that scene about it was you, Charlie. Now he's more Stanislavski, which predated the method, because the method was Lee Strasberg, and I think Strasberg and Stella Adler, they went to Russia, watched Stanislavski, came back to America and started teaching the method. So Rod Steiger was from the Stanislavski school, and so you could see he's wearing all the mafia regalia, like a chain around his neck, and he spoke fluent Italian. So yeah, so it was fun to watch him. I never used to be a fan of Rod Steiger, funny enough. I first saw him in something called The Illustrated Man, and I thought, ooh, I'm not keen on this guy. But because of On the Waterfront and Treated Like a Lady is a good fun film, where he plays lots of characters. Yeah, he's definitely watchable. Even he worked right up to the last minute, up to the end, you know. Even in films with Sylvester Stallone, I think The Specialist. Right, the final bullet point. I watched Kevin Costner in Discovering Kevin Costner, which was recorded on the Thursday, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it's always enjoyable to see. They can't really cover it all into an hour, unfortunately. What with the ad breaks being 5 minutes long, it sort of knocks it down to about 40 minutes. But it was interesting to watch. Sometimes you're expecting something to come up like his part being on the cutting room floor in The Big Chill. It wasn't mentioned. So it is disappointing when they don't. It's like when they make a film version of a book and you're waiting for the bit in the book that doesn't come up in the film. It was like that. So that's the final bullet point. But before I go, the next Discovering insert film star name here. And it's strange because of a recent vlog. If a recent vlog is to go by, this week's subject is Glenn Close. And on that chilling note, I hereby bring today's talkie to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you next time.